In this video, I'm going to show you how to do local SEO for a pest control company. I'm going to walk you through my entire process step by step. Okay, so the keyword we're going to be analyzing here is pest control St. Louis. And so this is a very competitive keyword and it is super valuable. You can see the cost per click is about $17. So it is a very, very valuable keyword, and even more valuable if we can rank in organic search, because that could help us increase the ROI of our search marketing campaigns. Let's go look at a couple things here. So SEMrush has this kind of built-in AI function that will basically give you your personal KD, which is specific to your website. So based on this, SEMrush is saying that the potential of ranking is anywhere between 11 to 30. I actually disagree. I think that they can actually perform much better than this if they do all the things that I'm about to show you. So there's a lot of work ahead, but they can certainly do it. So let's start here with the most important part, which is before you really do anything in your SEO campaign, the best thing to do is just go right into Google and see what's going on for this keyword. So what I did is I actually opened this up in Google, and I'll show you what this looks like. And what we want to do is just kind of get a lay of the land and see what's really happening so we can determine what the best path forward is, because it's not always about just diving right into SEO. We should also consider some of the other elements and some of the other variables that are going on here. So we can see here that right away there is a local service ads pack here, okay? And this is positioned above the local pack. So right away that tells me, like, if this was my campaign or I was working with a client, I would be pitching the idea that we should be in local service ads. It just makes perfect sense because it's positioned above everything else. It's probably going to generate a pretty high CTR, and it's likely going to convert. So we're basically kind of flushing money down the toilet here if we're not actually focusing on this. With that said, we want to immediately go into the local pack, right? Because this is the next kind of SERP feature that we want to start to look at here. And a few things you want to notice, okay? If you've been following my channel for a long time, I focus on a lot of local SERPs like this, a lot of local search results. And you'll see that there is a commonality, okay? And that commonality is that keyword-rich business names tend to outperform those that are not. And if you, all things being equal, let's say equal reviews, good location, they've got everything else, all things being equal, the keyword-rich business name will almost always outperform the non-keyword rich, okay? So another example here, 2 out of the top 3 have the location and a variation of the keyword in there, okay? So we're Pest Control St. Louis, STL Pest Control, and St. Louis Pest Control. And even this one here doesn't technically have St. Louis in it, but it does have Pest Control in there. So it has a partial match of the keyword. Now, if we look at some of the other ones that are ranking, we'll see, go down here, Joshua's Pest Control, once again, it's got half of that phrase in there. Pest Solutions, Rottler, and they've got actually a bunch of different ones. And you can go down the list, you'll start to see this commonality of some sort of keyword rich nature going on here. Okay, so with that in mind, if you're trying to compete here, you have to at least have pest control in there. Ideally, you would also have the location in there. So that way you'd build out this microsite that specifically focuses on St. Louis, okay? And that's really the best thing that you can do. So what I would consider doing is if I was working with a business that did not have the luxury of being keyword rich, then I would start to look into possibly building out a microsite, okay? So start to look up things like St. Louis Pest Control, all right? And of course, these things are not gonna be available, like the .com likely won't be available, but you can start to add some variants in there. So St. Louis Pest Control is not available, so maybe we'll just try Pest Control St. Louis MO, okay? And that is available, all right? Which is beautiful. This is like a perfect exact match domain. And then I would actually build out the business name to also be just Pest Control St. Louis. And then I would get a Google business profile and I would build it up here. And I can tell you within a very short amount of time, as long as you got a good review generation process in place, you will start to perform very, very well. And I've proven this over and over across multiple verticals. Even a funny little example, I ranked for Chesterfield plumber, and I'm not a plumber. So I went ahead, built this, basically a fake website, fake business just to prove this point. And it was within about 2 weeks I was ranking for this. Okay. And I've repeated this across many verticals, many local verticals. I've had other people do exactly what I've told them to do, and they've gotten the same results. So, and it's not just in the local pack, it's also in the traditional organic as well. For example, the number one result is stlpestcontrol.com. Okay. You just see it everywhere. And I'll even show you you can go and look this up yourself, St. Louis SEO consultant. This is an example that I teach inside of Gotcha SEO Academy, but this is an exact match domain, and it's basically one page. Okay. It's basically one page. And I built this just to prove the point that if you have an exact match domain, you get a very outsized advantage against everyone else. Okay. As long as you understand how to build backlinks the right way without being wildly over optimized on the anchor text side. Okay. So once again, I cannot stress this enough. It's so incredibly valuable. And in fact, a lot of businesses waste a ton of time trying to rank with these kind of branded websites when they could have actually spent less money, gotten results faster. And it's just better across the board to just build out these hyper focused websites, because this is a game of relevance. So the more relevant we can be, the better we're going to perform. And I'll talk more about how we can build more relevance in other ways. But starting on the domain level and then also the business name, it's pretty hard to not be relevant when you do that. Okay, so that's the first part. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go and look at the business here that we're going to be helping for free, which is Fisher Pest Control. All right, and already a few challenges here with this, the way this is set up. Okay, because number one, if we look at the competitors, we'll see that they are almost all located pretty close to kind of the core location, which is St. Louis. Okay, they've got an address that's pretty close to that core area. Okay, and they're also pest control in St. Louis, so they've actually picked that specific city to go after. Now, when we look at Fisher, he's actually in Oakville. This company's actually in Oakville. So it's not in that core location, right? If we look at the address, we'll open it up here and we can see that it's not super far from downtown, but it is a pretty significant distance. And there's a lot of cities in between until we finally get to that address. So there's basically zero chance to rank in the local pack being this far away from the kind of core location. It's basically impossible. And so the alternative here is if they wanted to use this business name, they didn't want to do the microsite kind of strategy, then they would need to get an address in St. Louis, like in the epicenter of St. Louis. Because otherwise anything that they do, it's just not going to work, right? So that's kind of like that is the most important ranking factor in the local pack, is the actual physical location. It is so critical, and it truly is the lead domino for everything else. So they have to get that squared away. And then obviously, pest control service in Oakville, this would also need to change to pest control service in St. Louis, Missouri. Okay, so just those two tweaks can have a significant effect on performance. Now, obviously, the other big issue here is on the Google review side. Okay, so only 6 Google reviews. That's just not going to do the job, right? So, and you can look at the competitors, they have a lot of reviews. We're talking the top 2 have over 1,000 reviews. So to bridge that review gap is going to take a significant amount of work. It's going to take a significant amount of systems to be able to do this. And so there's a lot of work ahead, okay? And really the truth is, to get more reviews, it's pretty simple. You just have to start having the systems to actually ask for them. As soon as a job is done, you try to get a review right away. In particular, try to get a review when the job is actually completed on site. So you ask the customer, hey, if we did a good job, would you mind just leaving us a real quick Google review? You do it every single job, you'll start to chip away, at that review count. So, but this is why, a lot of people kind of stall when it comes to doing SEO or comes to, doing digital marketing. And this is the byproduct of waiting, right? You don't want to wait because your competitors are not waiting. So they're building it up and they're getting that compound effect, and it becomes almost like a moat that becomes very difficult to bridge. Okay. So at this point, I would be pretty concerned, right? Because there's just a lot of work that has to be done. So some things that can happen right away. Fix the location. You absolutely will need to do that because you need to pull different levers to make up for these gaps. So fix the location, fix the targeting on the Google Business Profile, and then start going crazy trying to get reviews. Okay, so that's part one. Now let's talk about how to actually attack the different levers that we want to go after here. Okay, so what I did is I went into here and I did a keyword gap. Okay, so I'll show you real quickly. We'll go a keyword gap. So now we can see all of these opportunities, and keep in mind, a lot of these are not going to be a good fit because some of these are, very informational in nature, but more importantly, like if you see that the competitors aren't even ranking that well for them, you're probably not going to do well either. So you're going to want to filter down this list. And one thing you can do is just start to search by kind of the core location and see what shows up. Okay, so what I did is I searched St. Louis, and I want to see what are they ranking for in St. Louis specifically that we are not ranking for, because that's really, we're trying to build a lot of hyper-focused relevance for this core location. Okay, and right away we can see there's some things here that they're ranking for that we absolutely can go after. Okay, and I actually went ahead and created a keyword list, and you can create this in the keyword overview. Actually go to the keyword strategy builder, and you can build a regular list like this. So I'll show you some of the keywords that I kind of collected through this keyword gap. And when I'm building this out, I'm thinking about, I'm not just trying to get every single keyword and every variation of kind of the same phrase. I'm trying to pick keywords that have different intent. Okay, so mouse extermination near me. Well, I can obviously do mouse extermination St. Louis. Okay, pest control Webster. That's just a location within St. Louis. We could have a dedicated location page for that. Okay, different intent deserves a different page, and just go down the list, and you start to find all these different keyword that we can build up on. Okay, and so using the keyword gap tool is probably the best bet to just kind of do this very quickly, but I'll show you in a second how you can kind of make this list even deeper by using AI or using ChatGPT. Okay, so but this is a very quick way to get rolling. All right, so now what I want to show you is you can continue to do this. You can continue to look up St. Louis. You can also look at some broader terms. So like looking up removal, like specifically to the services that they have. Once again, this will just give you some additional ideas as far as keywords that we can go after. Okay. But now we're going to take it up to the next level. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to this little sheet here that I built. All right. And so the first thing is building up that keyword list. But you can also actually extract ideas from your competitors. So what you're looking at here is I crawled one of the competitors' websites. So we'll go over here and you'll see that I ran a screaming frog crawl and I connected the Ahrefs API, and I'll show you why I did that in a second. But what I did is I crawled the competitor's website and then I exported all of their URLs. All right. And the reason I want to do that is because I want to see what they've built to ultimately reverse engineer it. Okay, so what we'll go here is we'll sort this, and what I want to see is obviously they've got a bunch of informational assets and various things. There is some utility in that, and I'll talk about that in a second. But what I really want to look at is on the commercial pages. Okay, and so we look at all these pages here, and they've laid it out perfectly for us. Okay, this is kind of the cool part when we do this is you can now see all of the different types of facilities and entities that they are doing pest control for. So what that tells us is if each of these are different, like for example, bird control, commercial flying insect control, and all these different things, they're all different types of businesses. They're all different types of situations, and they have different intent. So we need to build out a whole segment on our site that focuses on commercial-based applications, okay? And then you keep going down the list and we keep looking here. And by the way, we're not going to replicate them. We're just getting the ideas of like general structure, okay? Once again, they have a locations kind of little cluster here. So they're going after specific smaller cities outside of St. Louis. So they're going after these different cities, okay? And then we just keep going down the list. They've got a bunch of other things here, but for the most part, I can quickly look at this and see, okay, I have a general idea of like how we can attack this. We've got plenty to work with here. And now what you want to start to do is build your own site architecture. So I'm going to show you real quickly what this looks like. All right, so I already built this out just so you can see. But essentially what I did is I went into ChatGPT to also give me some additional ideas. So you'll see here, I went in and I'm building a sitemap and I gave it just some general ideas. And it started to, you'll see I started to build out some, to deepen this sitemap, okay? And we really just want to, when you think about building topic authority, this is a part of this process. Like we're trying to hit on every single nook and cranny of this topic. Okay, so in the context of this, where our core topic is pest control and our core location is St. Louis. So we're trying to build a ton of authority around that one really critical phrase. Okay, so you can see the way that I structured this is we're going to have a cluster that's specifically focused on the different locations around St. Louis. Okay, so we've got our core location, which obviously should be probably targeted on the homepage. And then we've got all the secondary locations that we're going to build out pages for to optimize for this correctly. Okay. Then we're also going to build it out based on the type of insect or pest or whatever it is. Okay. And we got a bunch of these. So you can see all these different ones that we built. And this is going to help us, once again, go down to a deeper level that the keyword research tools are not going to be able to supply you. The keyword research tools will not be able to identify search volume for these types of keywords, but we know that people search them. We just know that they do, but the keyword tools don't pick it up. So this is why you need to use a tool like ChatGPT to help you brainstorm and build out a really, really effective sitemap. The thing is, we can only look at the competitors so much. The goal is not to just match the competitors. We want to go deeper than the competitors. We want to be more comprehensive than them. And the way to do that is you have to be looking outside of just the tools, because every SEO is using the tools. So we have to think outside of the box, okay? So all of these ideas here is another great example where we can build out a ton of supporting assets. And when people start to search, bat removal and things like this, there is not a lot of competition. So we're going to be able to rank very, very easily. And once again, because the competitors are not looking at SEMrush or any of these tools, that's not going to be an issue because they're not even going to know to do this, okay? And then the final piece of this is on the commercial facilities side. You can see we've built out all the different types of entities, facilities, buildings, whatever it is, and we'll have dedicated pages for each of those, okay? So just by doing this, we basically we're looking at 78, give or take, 78 pages that have commercial intent that we can build out. Okay. And so there's a lot of work already here. And we haven't even talked about building informational content. Okay. So this is really, really critical. Now, the question is how do we build these pages? Okay, so what I do, obviously I use Rankability, which is my number one tool for building out SEO content that's highly relevant. So first thing you'll do is you actually go in there and you can run the content optimizer, and I'll open this up. But the way that I did this for this particular one is I just ran the keyword and then I extracted the content off of it. But if you can also do import URL content. So you put your keyword in, put your URL that you're trying to rank, and then run the optimizer. As we can tell here, this content is not going to work, right? It's not comprehensive enough. It's not relevant enough. And there's no way that it's going to do the job that we needed to do, okay? And plus, this whole section here that has all the different cities can really throw off the algorithm, right? Because we want one page per location. So this page needs to be all about St. Louis, all about St. Louis, all about St. Louis pest control, and all those things are related to it. So what I would do right away, the way that we can quickly build out a draft for this is we'll go ahead and just get rid of this because it needs to be rebuilt from scratch, okay? And what I do is I will copy these keywords and I will go into ChatGPT to build out kind of an initial draft to get a good thing rolling. Now, here's kind of like the key nuance here is you want to start by building a content brief or content outline, okay? It just performs much better when you use an outline instead of just trying to have it created from scratch. So I'll show you real quickly. So this is the prompt that we'll use, just create an SEO content outline for pest control St. Louis using these NLP keywords. And I paste the keywords directly from Rankability, okay? And just in case you aren't aware of how NLP works, these keywords are not just like randomly generated or just made up. These keywords are exactly what the top competitors are using to rank, okay? These are the topics that they're talking about. These are the ideas that they're covering on their pages that are already performing well. So we're just looking at the things that they're talking about, and we're also making sure that we're hitting on these same topics, okay, on this one page that we're trying to optimize. So you put that in, and then you get a beautiful, very simple outline. And then from here, once this outline is done, then we tell ChatGPT or whatever tool you're using to create the content. Now this 500 to 900 words, once again, pulled directly from Rankability right here under the optimal word count, all right? So then it will do this, and then I'll just show you what this looks like. So this is just the first draft. We're just getting started, giving us a nice base layer to work with. Okay, so we'll copy this over, and just to see how good this is already, it's pretty crazy how well it will be optimized, right? So just like right out of the gate, this thing is already highly, highly optimized, highly relevant. It's hitting on all the core things that we need to be hitting on. And this is literally about 2 minutes of work. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to go through and want to clean it up, edit it, add a little bit of human touch in there. So I personally use a human to come in here and clean it up. So I'll do the initial draft, and then I'll have someone come in, one of my team members, and they'll start to work through it. Okay, so highly recommend doing that. I don't recommend just like taking this and pasting it on the website. That's not ideal. Okay, but this gives us a nice, beautiful draft to work with. We know it's highly optimized, and this can help us move pretty quickly. And when you think about it, if we have, almost 80 pages that we need to create, we need to start getting some minimum viable content on these pages so that we can get them crawled and indexed in Google. Then we can go back and make them better if we need to, okay? But we need to start getting some stuff rolling as fast as possible. And this is the way that we can do it in a pretty scalable way. But I do recommend having the human touch. Have a human come in, clean it up, okay? So now that we've done that, this is basically the same exact process you're gonna follow for all of these commercial pages is use the NLP keywords to build a highly relevant asset. Now from there, once we've built out this asset, we can also start to look at the NLP keywords as additional content ideas. Okay, so we probably covered a lot of these already in building the sitemap, but this is kind of like a little hack that I don't think a lot of people talk about, which is I will look at the NLP keywords and look for keywords that have different intent. Okay, so for example, bed bugs. Well, the fact that this is showing up so highly means that we need to have a dedicated page specifically to bed bugs St. Louis or bed bugs extermination St. Louis, that type of phrase. Okay, we need to have a dedicated page for that. Keep going down here and looking for ideas that have different intent. Okay, so going down here and we'll try to find, okay, termite control, another great one. This is another one where we want to have a dedicated page specifically for termite control St. Louis. Okay, another one here for Maryland Heights, once again showing us relevance. It's showing us the relevance, so we should build out a dedicated page specifically for that. Okay, and you just keep going down the list and finding these different keywords, different topics that have different intent. Okay, and this is really, really important. So go through, and this is the beauty of this, is that we're seeing what's highly relevant. Once again, Yellow Jacket, dedicated page specifically for Yellow Jacket extermination St. Louis. All right, so right away we can build out this topic relevance so quickly, not just on each individual page, but start to build out these supporting assets across the board. Okay, and actually, funny enough, looking at this is property damage. Okay, this actually gives me an idea for link bait. Okay, so what specifically, how much property damage do termites cause in St. Louis every year? Okay, I can start to come up with these ideas. You can even take this as a seed and go back to ChatGPT and have it generate some additional ideas for you. Okay, so that's a high level of building out the commercial pages here. This is really critical. This should be the focus of your work here in the beginning, especially when we're working with a site that has very minimal amount of pages. Like you'll see, I crawled their site, and we're dealing with 6 pages. Okay, it's a tiny little website. This is why it's not going to perform well. It needs much more depth, more pages, more content, more relevance. There's just a lot of work that has to be done. Okay, so on that front, the next thing we really want to focus on here is building out informational pages. Okay, so first of all, this part of the process of building commercial pages is going to take many months to get completed. And we're talking probably 4 to 6 months, depending on the size of the budget, to get this done. Okay, this is going to be a lot of work to go through and do all this, but it'll be highly effective and will do tremendous things for their performance. But once this is all squared away, what's left is, okay, how do we continue to build topic authority, and how do we create assets that people want to actually link to? So on this end here, we're looking at informational assets. All right, so these are different types of ideas that we can create. Some are specifically free types of calculators, others are specifically statistics-driven assets. But notice that the key here is that almost all of these are specific to St. Louis. This is the key. We want to make sure that every asset that you create for local SEO is specific to the location that you're going after. And you can tell all of these are very different ideas, different intent, so they deserve their own dedicated page. Okay, so I would typically build out, let's say 10 to 15 of these in most cases. Now, I didn't come up with these ideas. I just went into ChatGPT and had it come up with some ideas for me. As you start to build a thread here in ChatGPT, it starts to understand the relevance and it can come up with much better ideas. So you can see a lot of these ideas, they're okay, but I'd say about 50% of them are pretty solid, okay? And you copy those and then keep going down, and then I'll show you another one here that I got a little more specific for data-driven and statistics-driven ideas, okay? Once again, it's giving me some really terrific ideas. Now, just to give you an idea, this is like, it never has it been as easy to build out link bait. Okay, so what I did is I took the termite cost calculator and I had it create HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay, I'm not a coder, but I can certainly do this, right? I can add a prompt in here, and what it will do is it will build out each of these, and then we can go into, if you're using WordPress, you can use a plugin like WP Coder, and then you just paste the HTML in. You go and you paste the CSS in, and then you paste the JavaScript in, okay? Now keep in mind, when you do this, it's not gonna be perfect out of the gate. It's probably gonna be a little messed up. You're probably gonna have to go back and forth with it multiple times. But what you'll see is we'll add a page here and just paste the shortcode in. You can copy this directly over here from WP Coder. You paste that shortcode in, and then we can go ahead and just preview this. And you'll see this is, about 2 minutes of work here. We've already got a semi-functional calculator, right? This thing already works just like that without even any additional work at all, okay? We've already got something that's at least working to a certain extent. Does it need to be designed better? Yes. Is it gonna work perfectly? No. But it gives us something that we can actually build out. And so once again, leverage this AI technology to start to build out these assets very, very quickly. So then once we've built out all of this content, all of these pages that we think are linkable, now we need to actually go and try to get some backlinks. Okay, so the best thing to do is actually just look at the competitors and see the backlinks that they've gotten. So one thing you can do is go back into SEMrush and run what's called a backlink gap analysis. Okay, so what you're looking at here is, if you go to backlink gap right here, you can put the top competitors in. And what we're looking for is just like, where are they getting links where we don't have links? Now, if you look at this, the top 3 competitors, we want to see that they have links from, if they all have links from one particular site, that's a really bad sign for us, right? We need to also get those same links. So looking at this, we can start to see the domains where they have links, and we can try to get those similar links. And you can of course see specifically how they acquired those links. So for example, I opened up Joshua Pest Control here, and if you go to backlink analytics, run them through, look at the root domain, and then go to index pages, you can see the types of pages that have actually attracted backlinks. Okay, so like this one here, we can go ahead and take a look. This one's about cockroaches. Okay, so this tells us that this particular idea has attracted backlinks. So we could create a similar asset. We could create maybe something that's a little more data driven. There's a lot of things that we can do, but we know that this topic does attract links, okay? Same thing here, looking at these other ones about, common household spiders, and this one, how to get rid of pantry moths. There's all kinds of stuff, okay? So right here, we've got about probably 5 to 10 ideas that are already quantifiably proven to attract backlinks. So we would just go and create similar assets and then try to promote these assets to the websites that have already linked to them, okay? Simple as that. Now, there's other things we can do too, like going back to the domains here and looking at these really powerful domains like USA Today and these strong sites. One thing you can do is just run some digital PR campaigns. So what I personally recommend is search intelligence, because you can do this yourself. You can certainly go and respond to Haro queries or press inquiries. You can certainly do that, but it's really time consuming. And the downside is if you don't know how to do it, you're probably going to spend a lot of time responding to these queries, and you're probably going to get a very low success rate. and it's just going to feel like it's not worth it. So you can outsource this to a company like Search Intelligence, who I highly recommend, and they'll actually go through and go through this process of getting you these very powerful links. And you can see, you know, the types of clients that they work with, but you can also see just the types of links that they get down here. And they're very strong websites. And this is a quality over quantity game. So you really want to try to get the most powerful links possible, because that's really what's going to make the difference. Those little weak links aren't going to move the needle. We've tested this pretty extensively, and the stronger links, they certainly help to outperform. Okay, so they use a bunch of different techniques for getting these links, but the point is you can certainly do this yourself, or you can just make that investment to have them do it for you. So I highly recommend them. I'll have a link below the video where you can, you know, get in touch with them and see if there's an opportunity to work together, okay? But aside from that, we're gonna go back here. The one thing that I will also like to do is down along the lines of creating more content to attract links, okay? Because at the end of the day, you can buy links until you're blue in the face, but you need a way to get backlinks in a scalable way. And the only way to do that is through creating content, okay? So what you can do, and this is one going back to the original competitor crawl that we did, the reason why you want to connect the API for Ahrefs is because I'm going to go ahead and collapse this. And what we're going to do is we're going to be able to see all of the pages that have attracted a significant amount of backlinks for them. Okay. So what we'll do is we're actually going to sort this by Z to A so we can see the pages that have attracted the most links. Now, right away, we've got 3 different opportunities here. So first one is how much damage can carpenter ants do, how weather affects yellow jackets, and how dangerous are raccoons. Okay, so we've got right away 3 types of content that we can create that we quantifiably know attracts backlinks. Okay, so that's what we're looking for when we're trying to build out linkable assets. We want proof that it actually has worked in the past. I would say that should be the case for about 80% of the assets that you create. And then the other 20% that you create can be more, let's say, experimental in nature. Like maybe you found some idea that you're very confident that it's going to be able to be a very good piece of marketing collateral. You can go for that. But I'd say using the 80-20 rule here is probably your best bet. Like make sure it has some sort of quantifiable proof that it can do well, whether it's backlinks or whether it's user signals. Let's say you found an idea on Reddit, has a ton of user signals. You believe that creating an asset could do really well. Go for it. But that should be about, that's like rolling the dice. Okay. So you can do this for all of your competitors. Run the competitor sitemap, extract the ideas, and now you're going to be loaded with ideas. So as you can tell, in a situation like this, you can certainly look at the site, and there's a lot of room for improvement here as far as design. It's a pretty simple site, but at the end of the day, this site just needs more content. It needs better optimization, needs more relevance. It just needs more of a lot of things. Okay, more reviews, more content, more links. It really needs a lot. But that's also good because there's a lot of work that needs to be done. So don't overthink this. The most important part of this whole equation, I'll tell you, is building these commercial pages. Like if you had to pick one thing to do, this would be it. I would spend almost all of my time just building highly relevant, super high quality pages like this. And then the next piece of this is I would focus on building out the informational pages. Now keep in mind, this is at the same time, we're building up our reviews, trying to get as many reviews as possible. And just doing those 3 things alone, there's going to be a significant improvement on performance. It's basically impossible to not see a performance gain. And then if we layer on backlinks, high quality backlinks, you're going to be off to the races. So that's how you do SEO for a local business, a pest control business in this case. And if you like this video, please like it, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.